So we're going to start a new topic for the next few weeks. We're going to be looking at a book in the Bible called Peter. Here it is. There's two books called Peter, 1Peter and 2Peter. And the reason that these books are called Peter is that they're actually letters written by Peter. They were written while Peter was in Rome, and he was writing letters to all the Christians who had had to leave Rome and scatter around the Roman Empire, because things were getting pretty dangerous for Christians at that point. The Roman Empire had decided to persecute Christians and make life really difficult for them. So, for very different reasons, but a bit like us, those Christians were no longer able to meet together in their church. But Peter was encouraging them that wherever they were still church, because the most important thing was that they were with Jesus. They could put their trust in Jesus and they could grow and be church in their friendship and relationship with Jesus. Now, I thought we would take a step back, and before diving into the advice Peter gives the church, we should just remind ourselves about Peter. Do you remember that he was one of Jesus' disciples? He was a fisherman and he had been called by Jesus, and he was very impulsive. He was always up for something exciting and adventurous. He'd be the first to put his hand up, and then maybe his thinking and fears would catch up with him. He'd be like, I'm not sure. Do you remember he was the disciple that betrayed Jesus 3 times before the cock crowed, and that he was the friend that was lovingly forgiven and restored by Jesus and given the job of leading the new church? So we can definitely say Peter knew Jesus. He knew what it was like to live alongside Jesus. He had seen how Jesus worked. So we're going to look at one particular bit of of Peter's experiences with Jesus. We're going to look at the one where Peter and the other disciples are on the boat in the lake in the middle of the night, and suddenly they see a figure walking across the water towards them. Of course they're terrified, but Jesus says, "It's okay, it's me, don't worry." And Peter leaps up and his heart is full of excitement and love and faith. He's like, "Lord, if it's you, call me across the water to you." And Jesus is like, "Come." And Peter gets out of the boat and he walks towards Jesus on the water. And then he looks around and sees the wind and the waves and thinks, "What on earth am I doing?" and starts to sink and cries out. And Jesus is there immediately, pulling him to safety. So let's look at floating and sinking. You might have done this at school. You might not. You can always maybe do a quiz with anyone else in your family. So I've got a number of items here and we are going to see if they float or sink. Now I'm going to try and arrange the water so that you can see it better. No, I think back is better. All right, let's start. Highlighter, is it going to float or sink? I think it's going to sink. Let's see. Oh, it floats. All right. Dice, float or sink? I think I'm going to say float this time. Let's have a look. It sunk. I wasn't very good at science at school. Okay, come on Heather, come on. Okay, apple, float or sink? I'm going to go float fairly confidently. Yes, it's floated. I don't know if you've ever done apple bobbing, where you have to get the apple out with your teeth while it's floating in some water. The only way to do it, and I'm not going to demonstrate now, is to put your teeth on it and just shove your head right down to the bottom so that you can get a really good purchase on it, ram your teeth around it, pull it out, dripping wet, but hey, victorious. Right, okay, golf ball. I don't play golf. It feels quite heavy. If you putt a golf ball into a pond, does it sink? Okay, let's go sink. It's really heavy. Yeah, sink. Yes. All right. Okay, what about a paintbrush? So we've all washed up paintbrushes at school. We should know this. I think I'm going to go for sink, if it fits. It doesn't fit. That was a bit silly, wasn't it? Well, it feels, yeah. Let's just disqualify that one. That doesn't count. Right, the next thing I've got is a little Happy Land person. It's actually a Happy Land Prince Charles. I know. Let's see if he floats or sinks. He's hollow. I don't know if that makes a difference. If you're good at physics, you probably know all this. Right, I'm going to say float. It would be really sad if he sank. Let's have a go. Yes, floats. Okay, a few more things left. A coin. I don't know which country it's from because it's got a bear on the back. Kuna. We've just been to Croatia. It could be there. Right, let's put it in. I think sink. Yes. Okay, penultimate, not the last one, the nearly last one. Kiwi, float or sink. Now the apple floated. Okay, I'm going to go for float. And that's a sink. I'm actually really glad I haven't kept a record of this because I don't think I've done very well. All right, last one. Egg, float or sink. I think sink. When you boil an egg, they usually sink, don't they? Yeah, that's pretty sunk. Now, have a look at this egg. This egg has got a little face on it because this egg represents Peter sinking. Now, I don't know about you, but when I read Bible stories, I think that's really inspiring. That's great. But what does it mean for me? Because I don't think that I'm going to see Jesus walking across a lake and he's going to call me to him and I'm going to step out on a boat. I'm not going to physically experience that. So everything in the Bible is written there to encourage us and for God to speak to us. So what is God saying to me and to you, to all of us? I think he's saying there are going to be times in life when you feel like you're walking on water. Now, for many of you, that could well have been starting a new school or returning to school this week. I expect most of you are pretty much all back now. I bet that felt a bit like walking on water, a bit like, can I really do this? Am I going to feel safe? Is it going to be okay? Am I going to have friends? How's it going to work? And Jesus is saying to us, fix your eyes on me, look at me, think about me, think about how much I love you, I care for you, I'm with you, we can do this together. And we all have times when we feel we're sinking. You know, some of you might not like school or have difficulties with friends or just struggle with learning or struggle with all the people and the rules. You might feel like you're sinking sometimes. Others of you will love it and just be so pleased to be back at school. I think most of you will be somewhere in the middle, won't you? Some bits you love, some bits you hate. Whatever you are feeling and whatever situation you're in, Jesus is with you and he can help you float. I've got a smiley face here. This one, this egg, is representing Jesus. And when I put Jesus in the water, which you might have noticed has changed colour, it floats. So when we are with Jesus, we might have to change the face because we're going to float too. Now, that was a very basic science experiment that I will leave you to work out what I added to the water to make the eggs float. But the idea is that when we are close to Jesus, maybe some things stay the same, but we have his love and his support and his confidence and power at work in us and alongside us to help us deal with situations. Remember, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you are part of God's church. I hope you have a good week. See you soon. Bye-bye.